shade our sphere. And when we do this, we'll start with the darkest area. If you look at the handout I gave you, it's going to be right here. Okay? Right in this area of our spheres, the darkest. Okay? It's not up against the edge. Against the edge, at the bottom of our sphere, we're going to have what's called a reflected or refracted light. Okay, and that is light that is reflected from the table onto the bottom of our sphere. Okay, so when we get to that point, we can either erase it out, or when we're shading, we will leave it white. Okay, so when you do this, you use moon-shaped movements. Okay, we're not going to go straight across. We're not going to go up and down and straight across the circle. That gives us a very flat looking circle, and we want to make it round. So we're going to use rounded motions. Your motion should be parallel to the outer circle. Okay, so you're just going to follow the contour of your circle. And when you shade, you start by pressing lightly. You go over it many times. And we're using a 2B pencil, so it's going to get dark, but it's not going to get super dark. Okay, you use the side of your pencil to shade. Don't shade like this, because all you're going to get is chicken scratch. Okay, can you see the difference? This is very smooth and nice looking compared to this. Okay, where we have to go over it many times. We start getting darker spots. We miss spots. This covers large areas and makes it smooth looking. So practice holding your pencil like this, using the side of it. Okay, so we're going to start in the darker area by going over it more and more times. This will make it darker and darker. As you start moving out, you're going to start pressing lighter and going over it less times. Okay. When we get to this point right here, this is called our highlight. Our highlight is where our light source is coming from. So our light source could be the sun, or it could be a lamp. Okay, so we're pretending that whatever light source we're using is coming and hitting our sphere right here. Okay, so I've drawn a little circle for you. I don't want you guys to have such a hard line around yours. You can draw a very light circle to kind of remind you to leave that white and to gradually fade into it. Okay, but I don't want a hard edge. What I have is too dark. I'll be able to see that at the end. So if you can't go super light, don't put the circle there. Just remember it's there. Okay? So as you get closer, you're going to gradually fade up into that. Okay? Remember, we're using curved lines to go down. And as we get up here, we want to go very, very light. At this point, you guys can use your finger and kind of blend into that white, so that way you don't have a really hard edge, because we want it to go gradually, because when we look at a sphere, we don't actually see where the highlight ends, right? There's not a circle drawn for us. It gradually fades down. So you can see that you can still see this line where I drew that, because I drew it heavy, and it's hard to cover that up and make it a lighter value. So that's why we want it to be very light. Okay? So as we go down, we want to keep in mind that we're going to have a reflected light. So keep it lighter down here, please. Our shadow is going to be our darkest part. So up against the edge, you guys can turn your pencil like this to get a good round edge. Okay, I'm going rather quickly here, so it's not turning out very round. You guys take your time. Choose the lines you created that makes it nice and round, okay, and go around them. Okay, get up under that. You're going to work your way out. As you work your way out, it's going to get lighter. So it's darkest next to our sphere. And we'll push a little bit harder, not too hard because we don't want it to be all shiny and we don't want our paper to be imprinted. So we'll push a little bit harder but not too hard, and we'll go over it more times to make it darker. Okay, remember to cover large areas. We want to use the side of our pencil. Alright, so I have a start of a sphere here. As I go over it more times, I'll make them blend. If I have a hard line, say that I had gone way too dark right here, and I have this really hard line right here. It's really hard, it's very contrasting, so I have really light here and really dark. Okay, I want to make that blend, so I'm going to put my pencil on the very edge right here, and I'm just going to go over the edge more and more times to help soften that and give it more of a gradual change. Okay, so it's not perfect yet, but if I kept going over this area here, making it a little bit darker, making back here a little bit darker, we would get a nice gradual change, and that's a way to fix it without having to erase. If you absolutely couldn't fix it, you could erase that and try to get this dark value again, but I think it's easier to try to fix it without erasing and having to redo a lot of stuff. Okay, so make sure you're really looking at the picture I gave you, at where the lightest part is, how it wraps around and follows the outside. It's not going from top to bottom. We're not using straight lines. This value right here doesn't go from top to bottom. Okay, it wraps around the sphere following the contour of this.